What's up, people? I am back for another video. Today we are doing the year, listing my favorite movies from 1984, and this one's definitely going to be 10. Just because 1984 is, I feel like in general, like not even just with movies, but like in pop culture at that time, you know, hair metal, Metallica, that's like the same year as like, Ride the Lightning came out, like music wise, just time wise, I feel like the 80s was really kicking in. And that's why I think movie wise, you got some of the greatest hits of the era at this time. So, I think this year and then 87, which is, that's going to probably be, it might be a bit more than 10, just because I was thinking about it while I was kind of in my, kind of just going through my list. I was like 87 because I was just thinking of like Predator, you have Predator, Lethal Weapon, RoboCop, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Full Metal Jacket, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. That's just six right there. So, yeah, granted that's not going to be the order, but like that's just like off the top of my head. So, 87 would probably be bigger, but 84 was a good one. Like this year, I mean, my number 1 and 2. I feel like my top in general is gonna be, but even the bottom, like you have Police Academy. I guess we kind of start going into it here in a second, since I'm already kind of started here. Tomorrow, Spy Who Loved Me review. Finally, we'll get back into Bond. Sorry, guys. So I'll be getting back into that Wednesday. I'm either gonna do a Marvel movie pitch, or I think there's a movie I was thinking about reviewing. I can't think of it now, but it'll probably come back to me at some point, either in this video or another video. I'll say it again, but most likely I'm going to do the Marvel movie pitch because I have more ideas, especially since I just watched Guardians 3, which was fine, is okay, but then on Thursday, Edge of Darkness, another Mel Gibson movie. This was I had to look it up to see if I remember seeing it. I saw it once, but this movie I do remember being very dark, and it was a different role for Mel, but it was great. So I'm definitely gonna watch this one. I'm gonna watch that one, and then I'm thinking next week we're gonna start the Mad Max movies. So figure I wanted to kind of do his little movies before I get to like doing Mad Max, like doing the trilogy. I'm not doing Fury Road. Fury Road's not a Mad Max movie. It's well made. If you take Mad Max out of it, it's a fine, like, post-apocalyptic chase movie. Because I'm not going to take away and I'll admit I liked it at the time, but when I see people point it out, and then even just watching it through because there's actual people, people make edited videos of why it's bad, right? And I'm not going to say it's horrible, because, I mean, compared to other shit, is not that bad, but it's not a good Mad Max movie, especially compared to the others. Max sidelined in his own movie. Charlize Theron, Furiosa's fine, but this is a Furiosa movie. And ironically, they're doing that one now. But it's like, anyway, I don't want to go too into that. But, so yeah, Mad Max is going to be my next. So I'm only going to do the trilogy, the Mel Gibson trilogy. So then Friday, we'll be doing American Wedding. And then I think on the weekend, just for the fuck of it, because I put a post on Twitter saying I'm gonna review this at some point, and it was Snakes on a Plane. Maybe we'll do that on the weekend. Fuck it, it's been a long time, I'll admit, since I've seen it. I just that I remember that scene. Tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. So yeah, I might review that one on the weekend just for the fuck of it. So, but that's my plan so far this week. But let's get into 1984, or my favorite movies from 1984. So let's get started. Number 10, Police Academy. This was one of my granted, this is more of a movie I loved as a kid. I haven't watched it in a while. These group of characters look Larvell Jones, Michael Winslow, played by Michael Winslow, Casey Jones. The mayor lowered the standards for to join the police academy, and basically you just get these oddball group of characters together trying to be cops. And it's funny, they end up actually saving the day in the end. just an all around fun one. I remember always loving it as a kid. It's just I know there's sequels. I haven't. I think I've watched them. I just don't remember them as much. Mainly the first one I remember more. And yeah, this is definitely one I loved as a kid, and I'm definitely gonna dive into these at some point to kind of jog my memory on them. But I really, really love these movies. I'm the first one at least. I remember I always laughed as a kid. Um, and that's the thing. Like, and the funny thing was, it's a comedy movie, but there's not gonna say serious moments. But the bad guy is somewhat taken seriously. Like that's when movies could do that. That's the thing about this era of movies is like you can have because there's gonna be a theme. There's a couple comedy movies that are comedies, but there's somewhat moments where they shit can be taken seriously. So it's like that's kind of I do miss that. So definitely hold up. Hold on. Fuck it, we're doing it live. Anyway, now we're on to my favorite movies. My number, but yeah, that's my number 10. My number 9 is The Last Starfighter, which this is one I rewatched more recently because I watched this one as a kid a couple times, but this is just another one where I love a good hero's journey. Alex Rogan, who just lives in this like trailer park with his younger brother and lives a very basic life, and then he plays a game called The Starfighter, and he ends up beating it, and then it basically is just a test so you can actually take on the villain, become like an actual starfighter, and it's just an all around. I mean, I did a review for this one, but that's why I'm not going to go too into it. But yeah, I very much rewatching. I mean, granted, some of the effects are dated. It's fine. Little stuff like that I could get over. It's just a fun hero's journey of a fun cast. I mean, you have the actor who played the old man from uh from RoboCop. He was also in Halloween 3. So it's like the cast was fun. I like the villain, you know. So I in general love this movie. So I'm definitely gonna start. I'm definitely watching this one more often. So had to put this one on the list. Number 8 is Silent Night, Deadly Night. This one's interesting because you would think this one would be terrible, because premise. It's not. He's not actually Santa, but Billy, who is a troubled kid, because his parents were killed by a guy in a Santa costume. Goes to a Catholic school. He has a fear of Santa. Granted, because what happened to his parents, but he's forced by these nuns to love a certain one named Mother Superior. Kind of condensing the plot, and then we kind of jump 10 years later because he was basically tortured, and that's where it's basically just a quick thing to kind of get his backstory, but then he becomes a mall Santa, or one day he's forced to become a store Santa, and basically he goes crazy and just starts killing. And it's a fun, goofy slasher from this time. It's 1984. Slashers were basically kind of becoming big, because there's going to be other slashers on my list. So it's just. So I thought that he did a good job. Solid kills. Um, I mean, yeah, there's some goofiness, like when Billy's just saying punish over and over, but it's a fun little slasher. Like the acting's not the best in the world, but I have fun with it. I definitely put it on during Christmas. The second one is a meme, Garbage Day, but I do watch the first one at least during Christmas time. So number number 7, Karate Kid. Another kind of great hero's journey movie. Definitely watch this one. I mean, the soundtrack is fun. I know you're the best around. Mr. Miyagi's one of my favorite. Like, if I had to do like a video, and I don't think eventually I will, about like movie mentors, number 1 for me would be Mickey from Rocky. But Mr. Miyagi would definitely be number two. Wax on, wax off. I mean, just those scenes. Just an iconic film. Daniel LaRusso is a great character you kind of root for. I mean, yeah, Johnny Lawrence was a fun character, and it's interesting now because yeah, I've watched Cobra Kai, so it's like it's a way more perspective. But even just by itself, it's just a fun hero's journey movie. The final fight is great. Even like the training montage is great, and I thought it was a fun like it's almost like you can kind of call it like the karate version of Rocky, and in a way it is. But I definitely think it's still iconic. It's definitely one I put on every now and then. And I'm thinking during the summer. I was gonna originally wait until like maybe Cobra Kai, the final season's done, because then I could do the movies, then we can dive into the show. But because of the writer's strike bullshit, um, they're kind of on hold right now. So I don't know when we could be expecting the final season. I don't want to wait too long, so I'm thinking maybe during the summer at some point we'll do Karate Kid. So we'll just dive into those, and then we'll just do the show. I'm cool with that. So, but yeah, Karate Kid is an iconic film. I mean, yeah, it's just an all around great one, and I had to put it on the list. Like this was one of the big ones from 1984, so I couldn't not put it on. Number six, Gremlins. I mean, the um the shopkeep um the shopkeeper gets a gift for his son Billy, and it's this thing called a mogwai, and then we all know the story, and then you feed them after midnight, or you get hit with water. They go full crazy, and we get the Gremlins, and the scenes where they go crazy. It's just a classic film for me. This is another one you put on during Christmas. I love the sequel too, but I had to put the original on here. It's definitely one. I don't put it maybe every single Christmas, but definitely at least every other Christmas. Probably definitely this Christmas I'm gonna put it on. I put it on last Christmas for sure, and I have fun with it. It's just the scenes, like I said, where the gremlins are just running amok and causing wreaking havoc is awesome to me, and just the practical design of them. And Billy was a decent character. Like it's one of those movies where they managed to make the human characters likable, and yeah, you're fine following him and his girlfriend. You have a young Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman was everywhere. He's also gonna be in, I guess, technically my next movie, my next movie on my list. But yeah, Gremlins is an iconic one. I had to put it on here. 84 is just a fun one, and definitely like there's just so much that like there's even some I missed, but like Temple of Doom came out this year, but I'll be honest, I don't rewatch that one as much. I'm gonna be honest, Raiders was my main Indiana Jones, and Last Crusade because Sean Connery. So that might be, I think that was 89 when that one came out, so that might be on the 89 list. But Crusade, I'll be honest, even as a kid, I didn't rewatch as much. If I did, it was more just because I was watching all three. But yeah. So Gremlins is my number six. Number five, Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. To me, Jason Lives Part 6 is my favorite one, but you can argue this is a better one, especially as a horror movie. This one was like Jason was not holding back. I love how it picks up straight up after 4. This is where we meet Tommy, as a character, young Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman's in this. Um, and I like character wise, it's Friday the 13th. I'm not expecting amazing much of anything from characters in these movies. I just kind of need to see Jason fuck shit up for hour and a half, and that's what I got. Crispin Glover's death was pretty brutal. The fucking, he's calling for a corkscrew and then corkscrew to the hand and then the cleaver to the face. Oh, and then I love the opening kill when he kills the people in the hospital. I don't, kind of owe to Halloween 2 and in that final act where Tommy, beats kills Jason. And to me, this could have worked as a conclusion to the franchise if they wanted to end it there. So yeah, all around, I definitely think this is one I would heavily recommend. Um, it's Jason at his best. I love the set design too. It's raining a lot in the film, and yeah, like I said, Jason's fucking savage in it. So that's my number 4. 5. Number 4, Beverly Hills Cop. Axel Foley. I mean, Eddie Murphy. This is probably, I do watch the second one more, but this is objectively the best one. This was Eddie Murphy at his best. The banana in the tailpipe scene. Just the fact, this is another one of those movies that mixed comedy. Very much is more of a comedy, but there is a serious element because his friend Mikey gets killed. So it's basically, he does have to get revenge for his friend. Victor Maitland is a solid villain. The same actor who's the villain in Rambo: First Blood Part 2, which will definitely be on my favorite list from 1983. 85, sorry. 85 next week, but definitely it's a fun one when he, gets to Beverly Hills, meets up with Rosewood and Taggart. I love that when they pair up together and go to the strip club. And they take those guys down. Fucking Bogomil's a great character. It's just an all-around fun flick where it's Eddie Murphy at his best, And the fact that, like I said, it can take itself seriously at a time where you said you can have these comedies, because my number 3 is another one that's like that, where it's a comedy, but it can take itself serious at times. So this movie definitely does it in spades perfectly. And I mean, I just could not have it on this list. So it's my number 3, 4. Fuck, I'm fucking the numbers up right now. Number 3, Ghostbusters, the original. I mean, Venkman, Peter Venkman, Egon, Ray, fucking Winston, just the classic pairing. Like, is another one where it's a comedy, but they do have somewhat scary scenes. Granted, the ghosts aren't necessarily scary looking, but they make it work. And I mean, it's just, this is one especially as a kid, I watched all the fucking time. Granted, the song always hooked me, and it was just a funny movie, and how they become famous, and then like the proton packs, and I like the way they explain how the tech works, and just the chemistry between all of them, and even Winston, who just joins later on because he isn't initially in the team, so it works. And then fucking Dana, played by Sigourney Weaver, who showed her, in my opinion, shows her versatility, because I think up until this point, most people have probably only seen her in Aliens. I think she was in probably some movies. I don't know. I'll have to probably look back and see if she was in anything major before this, because this was a bit after Alien and a couple years before Aliens. And, she shows she could play a different type of character in this. And Zool's a fun bad guy. I love the final act. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I mean, yeah. Like, one of my favorite movies as a kid. I definitely always put this one on. Granted, a little bit later in childhood, I'll admit, but I definitely always love this one. And I love the sequel. Granted, it's not as good, but we'll see if it makes my list for 89. But it probably will, because I do mostly like Ghostbusters too, so. But yeah, I definitely love this one. So that's my number 3. My number 2. My number 2 is Nightmare on Elm Street. To me, this is the movie that definitely another one that historically changed horror. Like, you know, how Halloween did and Psycho, and I'll throw in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre did. Because up until this point, it was mostly slashers, and I love my Michaels and Jasons, and you know, Michael was kind of a little bit kind of in a hiatus up because he died in two, and Halloween three was, and you know, he wasn't in, and Halloween four wouldn't have come out for like another 4 years after this. So, but you know, mostly it was killers with knives, silent killer, just go around. Because even like a lot of the other slashers that came out after was that kind of premise. So this one, Wes Craven's like, okay, I'm gonna change that. And this is how we got Freddy, who kills you in your dreams and you die in reality. The fact that you can make something like that work, and but he got the right guy. Robert Englund carried that role in this first movie. He is like when he's first introduced, like when you first see him on screen, even just in the beginning of the movie where it's in Nancy's friend's dreams, and the kill, that original kill on the fucking roof, on the ceiling, or you know, Johnny Depp's death, you know, the iconic blood out of the, I love the, you know, the practical effects to John Saxon as her dad, as Nancy's dad. Nancy in general was another one, is one of my favorite Final Girls. Like, she is all around a great character, you know, and the fact, like, in the build throughout the film, like, she does start off like this regular high school girl, but then she has to face Freddy. It just, and like the house is iconic, and just, I like the ending, and I mean, this is a film that definitely changed horror for the time. And people at the time always say, like, this one, even the people who were there in 1984 always say this one changed it and brought fear into slashers for sure. So Freddy is just iconic for sure. He's not my main favorite, but I can understand why. The way Robert Englund plays it and what this film spawned. So yeah, so Nightmare on Elm Street is my number two. My number one, and it's not gonna be hard, The Terminator. The original Terminator movie, to me, I remember watching this as a kid and just seeing, because up until that point, I had only known Arnold from, like, ironically, it was like the movie, this movie's like a racer. I think actually I'd seen Kindergarten Cop first. And yeah, so I'd more seen him in like more comedic stuff, and then when I see him in this, he's fucking evil. Well, not evil because he's a machine, but T-800 sent back in time to kill Sarah Connor. It's such a classic. You have Michael Biehn as Kyle Reese, and yeah, I love, like, it's a horror movie but with guns, and the way they slowly introduce the story, like, it's one of those stories that it feels lived in, even though this is the first movie. You know, the Enzo skeleton, and I love the little scenes you do see of the future, and Kyle coming in, and you don't know who's who. Granted, you kind of realize real quick, Arnold's the bad guy, but he's just going around killing people. As Kyle doesn't kill anybody, he does look weird. It looks a little sketch, so I understand why Sarah, and because Sarah and the way her arc starts, she starts off as just this waitress at a diner, you know, who just has a normal life, you know, lives with a roommate, and then yeah, just Arnold going around killing, like, Sarah. The scene where he's like, Sarah Connor, you know, knocks on the door, and then he says Sarah Connor, and then he just shoots her, or when she says yes, and then bam, he's just like, I think he really does a good job. Arnold, I'm gonna give him a lot more credit for being a machine in this one. Granted, two, I do prefer slightly just because of how the feels, but this one is an awesome one, and I can't take away from it. And I don't blame people who do say this one's better, because on a better level, I can see an argument for objectively in writing it might be better. I do prefer two just because of the feels, especially that final scene, and that's gonna definitely be my favorite. That's probably gonna be my favorite from '91. I think it is my favorite from '91. Never mind, but yeah, so, but yeah, the original Terminator, that final scene, that final act, and the music, I actually like the music in this one. And yeah, I think Arnold does a really good job of playing a cold machine. That police station assault is so good. Like you get the for the time too. I like the view when you looking at what the T-800 sees. I think they really did a good job with that. So all around, just an iconic film. I had to have this at number one. This built multiple icons, not just the Terminator himself, but Sarah Connor. Because then eventually, by the second film, what she becomes, and then even by the end of this film, she ends up like even when Kyle's her and she's like telling Kyle to get on your feet, soldier. Like that scene, like you could tell, like she's full on like kind of starting to see the reality and starting. Even just the scene where Kyle's telling her um the machine about how the T-800 works and that it won't stop until she's dead. Like I love that scene. Granted, I always do think they definitely got that from Halloween, which I also do think Halloween kind of got that from Jaws. But the Dr. Loomis scene, because it's very much, and I think they all work because definitely because he's a machine that will not stop until you are dead. That's his one mission. Kill, like it really instilled fear. And then like even when Arnold's on screen, the fucking heartbeat when he's on screen works. So yeah, all around, I fucking love this movie. Um, I watch this one definitely all the time. I'm probably gonna watch this one sometime this week, and then T2 after. I usually watch T1 and T2 like right after each other. So yeah, so Terminator 1 is my number one. 1985 is definitely gonna be fun too because there's like number one is gonna be Rocky 4. It's my favorite Rocky movie. Number two is most likely gonna either be I gotta really think because it's Rambo First Blood Part 2, but then there's also Back to the Future. But yeah, so 85 should be fun. Breakfast Club, yeah, Breakfast Club, like holy shit. So yeah, 85 is gonna be fun too. So, but yeah, so that's my list for next week. But tomorrow, Spy Who Loved Me will be finally getting back into the Bond films because I really am liking Roger Moore's Bond. I've liked him back then, but it's definitely rewatching has jogged my memory. So yeah, so we'll be reviewing that tomorrow. Spy Who Loved Me tomorrow. But yeah, that's about it. 1984 is an awesome year. I think maybe at some point I'll try to do a list like this for music from 1984 because there's some really good albums from this year. So, but yeah. But besides that, cheers. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.